Good morning. Thank you, Doris Carpenter, for the music, and thank you, Tim Martin Ritchie, for doing the sound. I am David Doudt. Many of you know me. I've been around this community for over 40 years. I'm a retired elementary teacher from the local schools, and I was chaplain here at Timbercrest in the early years of this century. Sounds strange, doesn't it? And then my wife, Kim Ebersole, and I moved to Elgin, and I was a hospice chaplain there for a number of years. But happy to be back in this community. This morning I want to talk about God being everywhere. When we talk about the presence of God, we often say, God is everywhere. That means He's all around us, within us, and we say, I see Christ in you, and I hope you see Christ in me. We see Christ in everyone. And then we go a step farther and say that all creation has the presence of God. God is in all that God created. So God is everywhere. So today, I want to talk about the message of God, God's message from trees. As I walked in this morning, it was raining lightly, and I thought, here's God all around me, just getting my attention. And as we look at trees, as we walk through trees, I want to encourage you to be aware. There is God. There is God. God is all around us, speaking to us. So let me start with a poem written by Karen Snow, and I have no idea who she is, but I bought a picture of this poem in the market in Charleston when we were there. And so this is the gospel of the tree. Embrace mature trees. They nurture your growth. Live fully. Even the tallest tree eventually falls. Spread many seeds. One is bound for greatness. Live in harmony with nature. She knows. Be still. There is wisdom in silence. Yes. Plant your seeds in fertile soil. Weeping is essential for growth. Stay rooted within yourself. Never stop reaching for the sky. Let your leaves add beauty to the world. Flourish even under the harshest conditions. No matter your size, know that you are mighty. The sweetest fruit is on the flimsiest limb. Go there. Connectedness is the essence of life, but know how to stand alone also. Practice patience. Even a mighty oak started as an acorn. Recently, I read a book called The Nature of Oaks, written by Douglas Ptolemy, who was an entomologist at the University of Delaware. And he's writing about oak trees. Every once in a while, oak trees produce a larger crop of acorns. If they would produce this constant same number of acorns every year, it wouldn't work very well, because all the deer and the squirrels and the raccoons and the opossums and the birds that eat acorns would eat all that there is. And the more acorns there are, the larger the animal population is. So in God's wisdom, God has the acorns, or has the oak trees produce an irregular number of acorns each year. Let's say this year is a normal year, whatever that means. And if all the acorns are eaten, then there are no acorns to grow more oak trees. So from time to time, the number of acorns goes down. And what happens? The animal population goes down also because there's not enough food for all of those critters. And as the number of acorns exceeds what was normal or the prior year, then there are more than enough acorns. And some of those acorns are buried by squirrels and maybe other animals, and they produce more oak trees. Think of that. And God does that. God synchronizes that in all the oak trees. Of course, there are white oaks that produce acorns every year, and the red oaks about every other year. So there's synchronization there as well. I never knew that until I read about that in this book. And then, most trees lose their leaves in the fall, but not oaks or beeches or chestnuts. They hang on to their leaves until springtime, until new buds come out. There's probably several different explanations of that, but the one that he wrote about says that deer and some other animals like to eat those buds on the ends of those branches. And so, again, in God's wisdom, some trees leave those dry, crunchy leaves on the ends of the branches, and the deer don't like those. Can you imagine a mouthful of dry leaves? No, you're not going to eat those buds or those tender branches. So, again, just very interesting. And then I learned about birds. I feed birds. What do I feed them? Seeds, suet, so forth. But I found out that all birds don't eat birdseed or, sunflower seeds, whatever. Most of them don't. Can you imagine baby birds eating birdseed? No. Their tiny little bodies can't digest that. They need protein. And where do they get protein? From bugs. Bugs that are in the crevices of trees, bugs that are in the litter on the ground under the trees. And so when birds come back north, or if they stay here all winter, they are scratching around on the ground, in the leaves, they're digging in the bark of trees, looking for bugs to eat themselves or to feed their young. Now, bugs eat plants. So they have to have that leaf litter or, some other plants to eat for the bugs to stay alive. And we have to have plants to have bugs, bugs to have birds, birds to have songs for us, bird songs. And the oaks are the largest type of trees throughout the world. So there are more oaks than any other tree, and they are among those trees that live the longest. if you ever read much about oak trees or see some of the amazing oaks, they're 200, 300 years old, and that's why. Then just a few more words about leaf litter. That's the leaves that fall to the ground. I read in this book, and then yesterday I read an article in USA Today that said we should not rake our leaves. We should leave those leaves fall to the ground and let them decay because they feed that tree. Oak trees depend on their decayed leaves for some of their nutrients to come through water that comes through the leaves and breaks it down. And other than that, there are bugs and all kinds of insects and invertebrates that live in those leaves, eating those dead leaves, decomposing them. So that's bird food, and also helps to break down those leaves to fertilize that tree again. So then the number of birds you may be aware of is decreasing. Why are they decreasing? Because we're cutting our forests to have wood for this and that. Plants are decreasing because they are taking fields to build new housing additions and more industry, more gas stations, so forth. And that decreases our number of birds that we have. And then, one of the other values of trees that Mr. Talamy mentions is when we have heavy thunderstorms, like last night. I don't know if we had thunder, but we had a heavy storm. Trees with the leaves on cushion the rain that is coming down so that it doesn't compact the soil under the tree. But also, as that water then, those raindrops drip off the leaves and trickle down to the soil, it helps it drain through those leaves and into the roots of the tree. If the rain falls on a bare field, a heavy rain like we had last night, it runs off and it takes some of the soil with it. You know, we've known about erosion for a long time. But if it has to soak through the leaves have some nutrients in them. You know, they have carbon from the air. They have nitrogen, phosphorus, and other minerals that have been part of their growth on the tree, but then they can be reused as they are taken out of the leaves by the water that drains down through them. So just an amazing number of things that trees do. Of course, we know they provide shade, they provide lots for us. But remember, God is in those trees, just like God is in us. So then, some more wisdom, this time from Elon Shamir, who is the writer of the little poems, I guess you'd call them, advice from a tree, advice from a turtle, advice from many different things in nature that I've enjoyed reading. Here's his advice from a tree. Stand tall and proud. Sink your roots deeply into the earth. Reflect the light of your own true nature. Think long term. Get out on a limb. Remember your place among all living beings. Embrace with joy the changing seasons, for each yields its own abundance. Growth and contentment of summer, energy and birth of spring, the wisdom to let go of your leaves in autumn, the rest and quiet renewal of winter. Those are seasons of life also. Feel the wind and the sun and delight in their presence. Look up at the moon that shines down upon you and the mystery of the stars at night. Seek nourishment from the good things in life, like simple pleasures, the earth, fresh air, light. Be content with your natural beauty. Drink plenty of water. Let your limbs sway and dance in the breeze. And be flexible. Remember your roots and enjoy the view. So as you wander through the woods over here, remember, God is speaking to you through those trees. Be aware of it and enjoy the walk. May it be so.